Welcome everyone to another Pixelated review. I'm your host, Pixelated Jordan. So, I just got done reading Skulduggery Pleasant, a mind full of murder. It was pretty good, I'm not gonna lie. So, after a universe-changing event, what will our characters be into? Are they gonna go on a multiverse excursion trying to stop a multiverse ending event? No, they won't. It's actually quite smaller than that. It's actually really smaller than that. It's actually just about a murder case that our good old skeleton detective has to solve. And to be honest, after all that we've seen, everything that we witnessed, after this gigantic event of Skulduggery Pleasant that had happened in the previous book, we kind of assumed that maybe it'd be just as big. But no, it was actually very simple. Just solve a murder case. A case of somebody killing mortals and mages alike. And honestly, that was actually really good. It is nice to not have a world-ending event coming to the forefront of Skulduggery Pleasant, or like the faceless ones coming to this reality, or dictator trying to take over Rawhaven and stuff like that. Stuff like that, which was Skulduggery's kind of thing. Even though he was a detective, he was stopping world-ending events and people taking over the Rawhaven stuff and anything related to that, and it was a lot of fun, right? But this one is now just more of solve a case because you are a detective. And that right there, it's hard for me to realize that how much cases he truly did solve at this point. Because, you can say the first one was definitely a solving a murder case of Gordon Edgley, which is arguably is the whole plot right there. But, what was gonna happen? What did happen though was kind of crazy, with the book of names and the whatever the staff, the magic set, the staff of the ancient ones. That thing was crazy. So a lot of things just was crazy, and I do like this too. Even though there's one thing I'll say, because as you know, this is gonna be spoiler territory. I can't really talk about it in this far in the series without spoilers. In the series, it's kind of funny that they have this wand, the killer, right? And he just abracadabra everything, and he really does. They kind of mentioned that this wand, if anyone could use a wand, it could be pretty darn powerful. That you can even take on the faceless ones. I'm like, man, that sounds very useful right there. Surprisingly, though, they don't really. The character, geez, man, he absolutely just demolishes a lot of people. In the very first chapter, man, let me tell you, that very first chapter, he crushed someone with ease, and I mean with ease, with a car, and it was cool. It was scary, and that's something I gotta admit with this character here. He felt like an actual villain, or not a villain, a horror villain. There we go, like a slasher horror villain, which was the vibe of the whole book right here, which I gotta say, it was really good. I'm like, man, this is a crazy slasher villain. It really is. This is so cool. I really like this, and I'm happy that it went with it, and it was really a lot of fun. So I'm not gonna spoil, obviously, the murder mystery, of course. That's too much right there. But the mystery at the end, how they discovered it, was a bit okay. Yeah, the puzzles were there. The pieces fit and where they needed to fit, which is fine. Me being slow, I didn't figure that out, obviously. But Skulduggery sure did. And it makes sense. And when you hear it out loud for how the pieces of the puzzles fits, and you're like, oh yeah, so it does. Which is really good. Hey, that's how, books like that, when it comes to murder mysteries, that's kind of how it works, right? So, yeah, I did like how he figured it out, but I was like, man, I couldn't figure it out myself. But that's just because I don't really read too much mystery stuff like that, so I don't really pay attention that well. But that's just a me thing, so. Anyway, Skulduggery was really fun. I gotta admit that. Every time when I read Skulduggery Pleasant, the series, I always like Skulduggery Pleasant, the character, how he is. He always makes me laugh. He always makes me giggle. He is the reason I read it. It's a self-titled series, and he's the reason I'll always come back. Anything with Skulduggery Pleasant, I'm coming back to read Skulduggery Pleasant. That's it. And it's kind of funny because I've seen a lot of people in the Reddit talk about how Valkyrie's technically, the golden goose of the series, stuff like that. And I'm like, but is she? Is she really the golden goose? For me, I'm like, I don't think so. I say Skulduggery is because, it's the name of the series, and also, who doesn't want to talk to a sassy skeleton detective? That is hilarious. But I digress. Anyway, the book was actually surprisingly a lot of fun. I really enjoyed a lot of the fun of that I had with this book, because after everything we gone through in this series, it's fun to get to something actually surprisingly simple. And I mean, it really did. It was so simple, and I liked it so much that it made me laugh. It was fun. It made me laugh. It was just, I don't know. I was in words with it because, yeah, it was simple, and it works with it. And even at the end, we do have this ultimate choice of who are you going to save. It was kind of obvious, which I do have to mention, a character named Winter's in here. And the character named Winter, I'll let you guys read that one because, try not to spoil it too much. But with that character, Winter was kind of blank, kind of in a weird way. She was kind of blank, and she kind of just, she was alright. It made me kind of want Omen back, but I gathered a lot of people didn't like Omen Darkly, but I liked Omen Darkly because I related to him so much when I was young. I mean, I read this as an adult, but when I was young, I felt like I was Omen Darkly. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. Anyway, so that's kind of the thing. It was like, I see what they were trying to do, it was like a, kind of like what they did with Omen Darkly, kind of new generation of mages, and they try to do the same thing with Winter, but I just couldn't feel that connection with Winter like I had with Omen. But also, I understand Winter's character and how it got to A to B, and it does make sense. Even for the killer, I do understand its motivation, and the fact that the motivation makes sense. And one of the things that I was sitting there trying to think about too was when this book was announced, I thought it was going to be like a revolution of the mages and taking over, revolting against the humans who really did do brutal things in the last book. Like, they absolutely massacred them, and just because they were scared. And I get it. But even then, I'm like, I understand your reasoning. I can't really blame you. So, yeah. It was honestly, shockingly, surprisingly low stake. But could this be the seed to this revolt? Could this be leading to a revolution for the mages? Possibly. It's a very likely, maybe not likely possibility. Cadaver did make an appearance, so I do like his sassy shenanigans. I have Skulduggery, so that was always fun. But it does tease us something more is coming towards the end. Is it going to be a revolution, or is something of a dark goddess coming back for some reason? Who knows at this point? It's all up in the air because now it's a trilogy, and yeah, who knows? One of the things I hope for in this trilogy, if this is truly the end of Skulduggery Pleasant, the series, if it is, I just hope it is a great end. That's all I want. I hope it is. So, with that being said, I'm gonna give Skulduggery Pleasant a mind full of murder. A rating of... check it out. Hi guys, I want to thank you guys all for watching. I really do appreciate it. I thought I'd just kind of do a review of something quick that I just finished, and I thought it'd be a nice little fun thing to do for something just quick and easy, so you guys can see what I'm reading currently. And if it's a series like this I've read a long time ago that I did like, I think it'd be cool just for you guys to know my thoughts on it for the time being. But other than that, though, I hope you guys enjoyed. If you do want to know, I am too an author. That's right. If you like ghosts, young adult novels, I'm your guy. So, if you want to check out Unborn Ghost, it would be linked in the bio below. Also, Skulduggery Pleasant, A Mindful Murder, will be linked down below. Thank you guys all for watching, and have a great day.